I will be the first to admit that I didn't fully appreciate my mom's cooking when I was growing up. I was one of a few Indian kids in my grade at school, and all I wanted was to fit in with everyone else. While I was busy being an angsty teen, my mom was performing culinary wizardry in our kitchen every night. And there was one trick she taught me that makes pretty much any food taste better. When I was growing up in Dallas, Texas, I'd sit in the kitchen as my mother put lentils, along with a spoonful of sunflower yellow turmeric and a handful of salt in the pressure cooker to make dal. Then came the secret ingredient. She'd take out her butter warmer to make chhonk, a common Indian technique that's a mixture of ingredients, usually spices, cooked in fat to release their essential flavors. She'd plop in some ghee and let it melt. Then she'd throw in a spoonful of cumin seeds and wait for them to sizzle, filling the kitchen with a woody aroma. She'd toss in a pinch of asafetida, a common spice in Indian cooking, a pinch of red chili powder, and 2 long-dried red chilies, which immediately grew crisp and glistening. Those 60 seconds that it took to make chhonk were dazzling. The cumin seeds browned and fluttered around in the little pot. The chili powder stained the ghee the color of a sunset. The asafetida disappeared into the mixture, leaving behind a perfume of garlic and onion. Then she dumped the mixture into the dal, vivifying this otherwise humble staple with a rich, complex flavor. Chhonk laga diya, she'd say in Hindi. I've added the chhonk. And I know it was time for me to set the table. A lot of people say their mom is the best, but my mom is actually the best. My mom grew up in India at a time when women weren't expected to pursue a career other than being a mother. Instead, she moved to America, married my dad, put herself through college by folding clothes at Sears, and became a software programmer and eventually the manager for an airline software company. So when she immigrated to the United States, she watched tons of PBS cooking shows and melded those techniques with her memories of her grandmother's food, the best dishes she'd eaten while traveling, and of course, the requests of her 2 needy daughters, who were very much products of American culture and demanded spaghetti and pizza every night. Making chhonk, which goes by many names across India, including tadka in Punjab and vagar in Gujarat, is simple, but it does require vigilance. If the pan stays on the heat even a few seconds too long, the spices will burn. Unlike other condiments, which can be cooked in large batches and stored, chhonk should be prepared a la minute to best bring out the texture and pungency of the spices. In writing Indianish, which is about the Indian American food I grew up eating, I found that chhonk was used in a surprising number of my mother's recipes. In her saag paneer, which features feta instead of paneer, the hard white Indian cheese, the spinach gravy is infused with cumin and coriander, and then a chhonk of asafetida, cumin, and red chili powder is swirled over the top, providing nuttiness and heat. I wasn't necessarily proud of my culture growing up. After an incident in which I was told that my lunchbox smelled like rotten curry, I made my mom pack me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich from elementary school all the way up until senior year. I was mortified when she dressed me in a salwar kameez for school on Diwali. It honestly wasn't until I became a food writer that this shame started to melt away. I saw the lack of representation of Indian food, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to say anything. That food shame from my childhood kept creeping in. Maybe the food of my heritage wasn't interesting or cool enough to be included in the pages of this splashy food mag. What did I know? That's when I remembered that I'd been immersed in Indian food literally my entire life. We spoke Hindi at home and ate dal chawal for dinner and religiously went out to watch Bollywood movies. At that time, there weren't a ton of voices like mine being represented in food magazines. Why not be the perspective I wanted so badly to read? I know I'm not the first or last food writer to talk about chhonk, but I've realized that the more it is mentioned, deployed in recipes, showcased on social media by all kinds of people, the more integrated Indian flavors and techniques will become in America. So, here's to being the awkward Indian kid with overplucked eyebrows and crippling insecurities. I'll take comfort in the fact that being told my lunchbox smelled like rotten curry served the larger purpose of getting me a book deal. All those things I used to be ashamed of, I'm making a living off of them now. Who knew?